Ever wondered how a common soldier, unable to read or write, could rise to rule a kingdom and challenge the mighty British Empire? This isn't a fantasy tale. It's the story of Haidar Ali, the formidable ruler of Mysore. Today, we read diving deep into the mind of this military genius to uncover the revolutionary battle strategies that made him one of the most feared commanders of the 18th century. From his humble beginnings to his epic clashes with the British, we'll explore the tactics that allowed him to build an empire from scratch. So buckle up as we march back in time to learn the lessons of a true revolutionary leader. Haidar Ali wasn't born into royalty. He started his career as a foot soldier, an ordinary man in the army of the Wodeyar king of Mysore. But Haidar was anything but ordinary. He possessed a keen intellect, boundless ambition, and an uncanny ability to read people and situations. He quickly observed the weaknesses in the traditional Indian armies and the strengths of the European forces, particularly the French and the British. While others were stuck in the past, Haidar was a student of the future. He realized that discipline, modern weaponry, and swift, decisive action were the keys to victory. This realization would become the bedrock of his military philosophy and the first step on his path to power. One of Haidar's first and most brilliant innovations was the complete overhaul of the Mysore army. He didn't just tweak the existing system. He tore it down and rebuilt it from the ground up, inspired by European models. He established a system of paying his soldiers regular, fixed salaries directly from the state treasury. This was revolutionary. In most Indian states, soldiers were paid through land grants, which often led to divided loyalties and a lack of central control. Haidar's system ensured his soldiers' loyalty was to him and him alone. It created a professional, disciplined force that was ready to fight whenever and wherever he commanded, not just when their local landlord felt like it. Alongside this financial reform, Haidar aggressively modernized his army's equipment. He was obsessed with firepower. He established arsenals and factories, known as Tarmenal pits, to manufacture top-quality cannons, muskets, and rockets. He didn't just copy European designs. He improved upon them. The famous Mizoran rockets, for example, were far superior to anything the British had encountered. They had a longer range and a metal casing that allowed them to travel further and with more destructive power. Imagine being a British soldier, facing not just musket balls and cannon fire, but also screaming rockets raining down from the sky. It was a terrifying and demoralizing experience that gave Haidar a significant psychological edge. But a modern army is useless without soldiers who know how to use it. Haidar hired French and other European officers not just as commanders, but as drill sergeants. They trained his infantry in the latest European tactics of volley fire and bayonet charges. This created a corps of disciplined infantry, known as the Chetla battalions, that could stand firm against the best European troops. He combined this modern infantry with his most formidable weapon, his cavalry. Haidar's cavalry was the stuff of legend, renowned for its speed, endurance, and ability to strike terror into the hearts of his enemies. This brings us to Haidar's signature strategy, the lightning raid. He understood that in the vast terrain of southern India, mobility was everything. He used his superior cavalry not for massive head-on charges, but for swift surgical strikes. They would sweep across enemy territory, disrupting supply lines, burning villages, and cutting off communication. They were ghosts, appearing where least expected, causing chaos, and then vanishing before the enemy could mount a proper response. This wasn't just about destruction. It was a form of economic and psychological warfare. By crippling the enemy's ability to sustain their army in the field, Haidar often won battles without even fighting them. Let's look at the First Anglo-Mysore War as a prime example of his genius. The British, confident in their own strength, formed a coalition with the Marathas and the Nizam of Hyderabad to crush Haidar. But Haidar was a master of diplomacy and deception. He first bought off the Marathas with a hefty payment, and then, through a mix of promises and threats, convinced the Nizam to switch sides and join him. The British were stunned. Their grand alliance had crumbled before a single shot was fired. This shows that for Haidar, war wasn't just fought on the battlefield. It began long before, in the courts and camps of his rivals. With his enemies divided, Haidar unleashed his army. But he didn't seek a single decisive battle against the main British force. Instead, he employed a scorched earth policy. As the British advanced, they found a desolate landscape. Villages were empty, grain stores were burned, and wells were poisoned. Haidar's cavalry constantly harassed their flanks and supply columns. The British army, led by Colonel Smith, was slowly being starved and bled dry. They were marching deeper and deeper into a trap, their strength waning with every step. The climax of this campaign was a masterstroke of audacity. While the main British army was floundering deep in his territory, Haidar took a select force of 6,000 of his best cavalry and made a mad dash, a 200-kilometer sprint in just 3 days directly for the British capital of Madras, modern-day Chennai. The British were caught completely off guard. The governors and merchants in Fort St. George woke up to find Haidar Ali's army at their gates. Panic ensued. With their city undefended and their main army too far away to help, the British had no choice but to sue for peace. Haidar Ali, the upstart ruler, had dictated terms to the mighty British East India Company, forcing them to sign the humiliating Treaty of Madras. It was an unprecedented victory, achieved not through brute force, but through strategic brilliance, speed, and sheer nerve. Haidar was also a master of logistics. A famous quote attributed to him is, "The stomach of the soldier is the foundation of victory." He knew that an army marches on its stomach. He built a massive and incredibly efficient supply system, using thousands of bullocks, called the banjaras, to ensure his armies were always well-fed and well-supplied, even deep in enemy territory. While his enemies were struggling with hunger and desertion, Haidar's forces remained strong and mobile. This logistical superiority was his secret weapon, allowing him to sustain long campaigns and outmaneuver his opponents time and time again. His use of intelligence was also second to none. He had a vast network of spies, or harkaras, spread throughout southern India. They provided him with real-time information on enemy movements, troop strengths, and political intrigues. This allowed him to anticipate his enemies' plans and react with lightning speed. He wasn't just reacting. He was several steps ahead, playing a game of chess while his opponents were still setting up the board. This fusion of modern warfare, lightning cavalry raids, logistical mastery, and a sophisticated intelligence network made Haidar Ali an almost unbeatable force. So what are the key lessons we can learn from this revolutionary leader? First, the importance of innovation. Haidar was never content with the status quo. He constantly sought to learn, adapt, and improve, borrowing the best ideas from his enemies and making them his own. Second, the power of mobility and surprise. He understood that speed could be a weapon in itself, allowing a smaller force to dictate the terms of engagement and defeat a larger, slower enemy. Third, the critical role of logistics and intelligence. He knew that battles are won before they are even fought, by ensuring your army is supplied and you know what your enemy is doing. And finally, audacity. Haidar Ali was a risk-taker who seized opportunities with both hands. His daring march on Madras shows that sometimes the boldest plan is the best one. Haidar Ali's legacy is a testament to the fact that leadership is not about birthright, but about vision, innovation, and an unrelenting will to succeed. He laid the foundation for an empire that would continue to challenge the British under his even more famous son, Tipu Sultan. His strategies were studied and admired, even by his enemies, and they offer timeless lessons in warfare, leadership, and strategy. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the mind of Haidar Ali. If you found this dive into military history fascinating, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories about the great strategists of the past. Let me know in the comments which historical commander you'd like to see covered next. Until then, stay curious,